My friend Zan, who returned from Japan a few days ago, and I gathered for a chat. He shared a true story with me about his initial days in Japan. Due to budget constraints, he rented a very old apartment with wooden structure and 2 floors. The apartment was small, but conveniently located near the subway station, making it easy to travel around. Despite its age and some drawbacks, Zan, enticed by the affordable rent, decided to move in. On the day of his arrival, Zan, with minimal belongings, quickly settled into the apartment. As anyone who has rented before knows, some houses may seem fine at first glance, but their flaws become apparent only once you start living in them. It seemed that on the first night, while Zan was online, loud yelling emanated from the adjacent room. The poor sound insulation of the old building made every word of the argument audible. The male voice dominated, occasionally accompanied by low curses, until it all quieted down after half an hour, marked by the slam of a door. After the commotion, an eerie silence settled in. Zan, hoping for a peaceful night, was about to go online quietly when another round of intense crying from the neighboring woman began. Zan, resigned to the situation, put on his headphones and turned to music. When Zan was ready to sleep, unsure if the couple next door had reconciled or if the man had not returned, the neighboring apartment had quieted down. After getting ready for bed and slipping under the covers, just as Zan closed his eyes, he heard vigorous coughing from next door. The coughing was so close, disturbingly clear, and persisted for over an hour, repeatedly preventing Zan from drifting into sleep. The house seemed to have its quirks, with the adjacent couple frequently arguing, and the old man downstairs consistently coughing after midnight. Zan wondered if it was a detoxification ritual late at night. During the day, he often saw the old man outside, smoking one cigarette after another. However, the other side of Zan's room remained surprisingly quiet since he moved in. Trying to recall, Zan realized he had never seen the occupants of that side. Initially, he assumed the room was vacant, but he noticed the sound of unlocking the door a few times, suggesting a quiet neighbor. Despite the house's flaws, he gradually got used to it. In Japan, there are strict rules for garbage disposal, including sorting waste and designated collection times. However, Zan noticed something unusual. On garbage collection days, he found the trash bin outside his door missing some of its contents. Initially dismissing it as a mistake, it happened several times. Once, a bag was clearly opened with signs of rummaging. Suspicion arose: could it be scavengers picking through the trash? A few days later, he discovered his favorite underwear missing while preparing to wash clothes early in the morning. It was a private item, and the loss puzzled him. The next day, returning home after a night shift, he immediately spotted the missing underwear neatly placed on his pillow, washed, dried, and seemingly arranged in his absence. This discovery left Zan alarmed, feeling as if someone had intruded into his home. But although this house is very old, the security around has always been good. Moreover, it doesn't seem like a theft. Firstly, nothing else is missing in the house. Secondly, the underwear that disappeared was returned after being washed. Isn't this just idle mischief? At that time, Zan was busy with job interviews day and night, so he quickly forgot about these small incidents. However, strange things continued to happen. For example, the bowls used for breakfast were unwashed in the morning, but when he returned from work, he found them cleaned and neatly placed on the shelf. Socks and underwear would occasionally go missing for a few days, only to be returned washed and neatly arranged. Zan, however, continued to feel uneasy, always thinking of finding a decent job and moving out. He was busy during the day, but at night, when he lay down to sleep, he couldn't help but think about these occurrences. The more he thought, the more scared he became. When the lights were turned off at night, lying in bed ready to sleep, he always felt like someone was staring at him, making him uncomfortable all over. After a couple of weeks, Zan found a job at a convenience store. One day, feeling unwell, the manager asked him to go home and rest. When he returned home and opened the door, He was shocked to find a woman sitting at his coffee table, wearing his clothes and licking his cup. Zahn was startled, and when the woman realized she had been discovered, she just smiled at him. Zahn quickly ran out and locked the door, afraid that the woman might escape, and then promptly called the police. Shortly after, the police arrived at the scene. When Zahn opened the door, the room was empty. Zahn thought it might have been an illusion, but his clothes were thrown on the sofa, and his cup was on the floor. It didn't seem like an illusion. The police, in their search, found something strange in the closet. When they opened it, they discovered a passage that seemed to lead somewhere deep. Zahn was scared and locked himself out of the room. The police, investigating further, knocked on the neighbor's door and found it was connected to Zahn's closet through a movable ceiling board. The police explained to Zahn that the woman, suffering from intermittent mental illness, had been using this secret passage to enter his apartment out of curiosity and, later, romantic feelings. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, she would hide in Zahn's closet and silently watch him sleeping. She even confessed to licking Zahn's face while he slept. Hearing this, Zahn jumped up from his chair, feeling chills all over his body. The closet passage had been there for a while, not a recent development, so she had been spying on Zahn for some time. The police advised Zahn to move out as soon as possible. However, if he enjoyed the situation, they suggested ignoring their advice. Zahn, shaken, contacted the landlord, terminated the lease, and moved out quickly. As he packed his belongings, he noticed that the neighbor's door was slightly ajar. He realized that the woman might have been released and, indeed, she was there, sneakily watching him. Zahn shivered again and hastened to finish packing. In the following years, the woman's image haunted Zahn's dreams several times. After over a year, Zahn had almost forgotten about the incident. However, one day, while organizing photo albums, he discovered that several pages of his pictures were missing. In a moment of terror, he also found that next to some recent photos of himself were pictures of that woman. The horrifying feeling struck him once again.